welcome back to Cookery with Dr. Hussain. Today I'm going to be making some delicious blueberry muffins. So if you want to join me, the recipe you will need. To make 12 muffins, you will need 250 grams of blueberries, 115 grams of butter or margarine, 200 grams of caster sugar, 2 large eggs, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 250 grams of plain flour, 50 grams of ground almonds, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, and 120 ml of milk. These muffins are suitable for vegetarians, and if you use dairy-free margarine and milk, they can also be suitable for those with dairy allergies. I hope you've got all your ingredients ready. So before I start, I need to get the oven on. So I'm going to put the oven at 190 degrees C to warm up. That's job number 1. Okay, that's on. Second job is to take your tray and grease it slightly. So I'm just going to grease the tray with a little bit of, you can either use butter or margarine. I'm using margarine for this recipe because we have a dairy allergy in our house, so I tend to bake using margarine, dairy-free margarine instead of butter. So simply all I'm doing is adding a little bit of the margarine and giving it a little whiz round in the bottom, and that's just greasing the tray. And then I'm going to take paper cases, got some nice blue ones here, and simply add them into each case in the baking tray. So this will be ready when our mixture's ready to go straight in. We don't have to worry about doing this later. As soon as the mixture's ready, you want to get it in the oven so it can start doing the sides and rising. There we go, brilliant, all ready. So, for my steps today, for all the mixing steps, I'm going to use my lovely KitchenAid, a lovely present I got a few years ago from my family because they know how much I love baking and cooking. If you haven't got one of these, you can just simply use a hand whisk or an electric whisk for all the mixing steps. So to start with, I've got the sugar and the butter or the margarine. I've put it into a bowl and we're just going to get this mixing. Just going to move the camera so you can see what's going on inside the bowl. Just put it down. So I'll just turn this on and it's going to take 2 or 3 minutes. And it needs to whiz it around until it all combines and it turns slightly lighter and fluffier. That's the consistency we're looking for. So I'm just going to leave that to do that for a few minutes and then we'll come back. Okay, so this has been going now for about 3 minutes. And as you can see, it's now all combined together and it's got a much lighter and fluffier texture to it. So this is ready. So I'm going to now turn this off and we can move to our next step. So the next step is to add the eggs to that mixture. So I'm going to crack 2 eggs into a bowl. 1, 2. Now, cracking eggs is a skill. Don't worry if you struggle the first few times you do it, and if you get any shell in there, you can just pick it out. You've washed your hands so your hands are clean. So all I'm going to do is, using a fork, I'm going to whisk those eggs. And now I'm going to add the vanilla extract that we mentioned you need to go in, 2 teaspoons. It's going to go straight into the egg. Vanilla extract helps to get rid of that eggy smell that you sometimes get with cakes, which I really don't like. And I always add a bit of vanilla essence to all my cakes. Okay, so now I've mixed that in. That is going to gradually be added to the batter. So I will do that now. Just gradually pour in a bit by bit the egg mixture. And let that mix in. At this point it can sometimes go a bit grainy and look a bit grainy. If it does, don't worry about that. When we add the flour, that will sort itself out. So eggs are really important in cakes because it helps bring everything together in the baking process. This one. There we go. I'm just going to leave that to combine. That is now ready for the next step. In this bowl here, I've got my sieved flour and I've added the 3/4 teaspoon of salt. I'm now going to add the 2 teaspoons of baking powder. So 2 just over level teaspoons. There we go. And the baking powder is the agent that's going to help it rise, going to create carbon dioxide bubbles, make the cake lovely and fluffy. And in here I have got my ground almonds. So this is something that I've added to this recipe myself. If you've got a nut allergy, if you're not a big fan of almonds, you don't need to add them, but I think it adds great taste to these muffins. Okay, so I've added all those together. I'm just going to give them a quick mix in this bowl so they're all mixed together, because the next job is to add them to the batter mixture in the bowl that's on the KitchenAid. Okay, so that's ready now, and we can then now start moving across and adding it. Slowly start adding the flour bit by bit. Giving it time to mix in each time. So if you were doing this with a whisk or a hand blender, you'd use exactly the same method. You'd add a little bit of time, give it a whisk till it's all mixed in, and then add your next spoon and carry on whisking. This machine just makes it a lot easier. Okay, at this point I'm going to stop and add a bit of the milk. I'm going to add a bit of the milk mixture now before I add some more flour. Just so it doesn't go too thick too quickly. Now we'll go back to some flour. More of the flour mixture. Cake batter will get quite thick by the end of this process, which is fine because that's what we're wanting. A bit more milk. So you just want to alternate adding a bit of flour and a bit of milk until we get it all mixed in. Just going to finish up the milk. There we go. And get more flour in. Before we finish, one job I always do when I'm using this machine is to scrape down inside the bowl so that everything gets mixed in evenly. So I'm just going to give it one scrape down and take it off the blade as well. Get that in, and then one big mix to finish off, and then we can add our blueberries. Okay, there we go. Okay, that is light and fluffy, and that looks really fantastic. So, next step will be to add the blueberries. I'm going to add the 250 grams of blueberries, just literally chuck them in, obviously making sure they're washed beforehand, and we're just going to mix these in using just a hand mix now because we don't want to squash the blueberries, and just using a figure of 8 folding motion, and they are folded in. And I love using blueberries. Blueberries are a fantastic fruit to use. They contain a lot of antioxidants, and antioxidants really important for our health. We get rid of something called free radicals in our body and help fight against illnesses and diseases. So they're really, really good for us, and they're one of the best fruits for antioxidants. They have a really high amount of antioxidants. Also have potassium, vitamin C, so really good for your health. So before they go in the oven, we just need to get our batter mix into our cupcakes, the cases that we prepared earlier. And I don't know how you do it, but everyone has their own method. If you've never done it before, you might want to use my method. I use a tablespoon and a teaspoon, and I literally fill my tablespoon with the mixture from the bowl and then pop it in. Okay, you want to fill the cases in this instant. They will rise somewhat, but if you don't fill them up, they won't be proper muffins, and we want some good sized muffins. Okay, so I'm just going to go along and fill them all in before we put them in the oven. So I'm just going to do the last one. And then these are ready to go into the oven. So they are now ready to go in the oven. I'm going to place them in the oven initially for 20 minutes and have a check, because they take up to 30 minutes. So here you go. Okay, come back in 20 minutes. Okay, so the muffins have been in for 25 minutes now, so I'm just going to do the skewer test. I'm simply going to put the skewer in, see if it comes out clean. I know they're ready because the colour looks good, just need to check that they're cooked all the way through. Okay, that skewer has come out clean, so I'm now going to take them out of the oven. Be very careful, got my oven gloves on. Turn the oven off. They are looking delicious. I'm just going to put them out to cool for 10 minutes, and then I'll take them out of the tray.